Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be reviewing the 5-6 kitchen. It's an astounding kitchen with a very high degree of customization, different doors put together, a beautiful wall with wooden columns, an island with different accessories. Let's dive in. When we were naming this composition and this kitchen, we were wondering what sort of name should we give to this composition, and actually we came up with this idea of putting together very easily the names of the doors that we chose for this composition. And here we have the 6-door model, which is basically a plain door with a traditional grip, traditional in the sense that the grip stays fixed onto the structure. This is the round grip, okay, but there's also available the L-shaped grip. And here you have this flat door, and when you open it, you place your finger like this, okay? And here we see a specific version of the 6-door, which is plain, very easy, very simple seen from the front. And here we have the version with the HPL panel, which is untouched on top of the aluminum frame. So the door itself is actually hollow inside, very resistant and very light in a good way. And on top of the aluminum frame, you have this HPL panel which is attached on the front, and this is the same building system which is used for glass kitchens, because with glass you have the same building approach. For the columns, we chose the 5-door model, which is a different sort of grip, because as you perceive, here the grip does move together with the door, it doesn't stay attached on the structure. And you have a full door, this is 22 millimeters, in this case it is wood, but it is available in different materials. And you have this grip which is built on top of the door. Well, of course, if you have a lacquer door, you can have the same lacquer here on the panel and here on the grip. In the case of wood, for example, it is conceived as a 2-color door, because you have color A, color finish A, and color finish B. As we said multiple times, this is a review of this very specific composition, and we can't cover all the possibilities that we have in the collection. Let's start from the island. This island is 304 centimeters by 120. It does use special features, because here we see 75 centimeters doors, and you can imagine how with 60 centimeters doors I could cover this overall width with a total of 5 elements. Here we have wider elements, so we have 4 only, 4 closed and 1 open compartment. So it does widen the perception, it gives you more of an horizontal look. We get to a total of 304 because we have 2 centimeters here, 75, 75, 150, 225, 3 meters, plus 2 plus 2, we get to 304. So we start with a door, okay, a very high capacity inside. I'd like to point out here straight away before we move on how beautiful the Ambassador HPL is, because it is a dark gray, blackish HPL with these amazing golden speckles to recreate a marble, and you can see very high degree of care is put into the construction. You must expect that these continuing line are not in every single detail, because, for example, here it doesn't move on, because sometimes it's not technically possible to match it in every single detail. But as you can see, there is a continuity that gives value to the kitchen itself. Another detail that I like to point out, as you can see, there is no plinth. The doors are planned to go right towards the floor. The plinth, it is indeed present. The plinth has a technical purpose, and also it is useful, for example, should you have water for a plumbing problem, water around the house, it does protect your furniture, the fact that furniture is supported by a plinth. But in terms of perception, not perceiving the plinth gives you more of a monolithic look, which is especially interesting. For example, right now we are looking at the side of the kitchen that would be facing the dining area in a dedicated kitchen, or the living area in an open space, and not perceiving the plinth is a good thing in terms of design. What is your take? Do you like seeing the plinth or not? Write it in the comments. So we move on these very big doors. 75 is very convenient. Okay. Then we have a standard door, just like the previous one. And then we get to the open compartment, completely in oak. And you know, sometimes open compartments, they can be untidy. So I'm not for those kitchens or the wall systems where everything is to be seen, is at the open. But you know, in a big kitchen, a big island like this, not going on with another door, with yet another door, and having an open compartment. Of course, here in the showroom we have accessories, we have fake fruit. This is probably as old as I am, and because we have been here for a long time. But for example, you can have certain accessories, you could have kitchen books. So I like the open compartment. Also, I'll share a detail, because you know, when you have joining panels, like in this situation, let's assume that I had this panel and this panel, one against the other. I do like this situation because we have different thickness of the panel and different finishes. I wouldn't have liked it, just as I like it here, if the inner panel had been the same thickness and the same material as the side one. I would have perceived this joint here, this line here, as a design defect, but with this way of mixing the panels, different thickness, different materials, I very much like this detail as well. As we said before, we have the depth of the island of 120 centimeters because we have two bases of 60 and 60 with the back against each other. We have the traditional side panel which covers both the plinths and the line in between the two bases. One detail about the continuation of the lines of the Ambassador HPL or of any other material with a texture. It is indeed possible when you are on a front-facing surface. It is not possible between the side of a panel, this top is a panel, and this side, because here when you manufacture this panel, you cut the surface, then you install the edge, and of course you cannot install the edge so that you have continuation between these lines and this line. So bear in mind that this is not with our HPLs, with any HPL or even any ceramic, any material with a texture, but still it has a very nice look. And we move on to the front. We have the same scheme with the 75 multiplied by 4. Here we have drawers. And here we see the inner drawer with beautiful stainless steel and wooden accessories to organize all your kitchen accessories. Here you can see how different is the look of the same basis with a visible plinth. Because on the other side we had the doors or the drawers that would go nearly towards the floor. Here we have the plinth visible. Here we have the same drawers right below the hob. This is a beautiful AEG induction hob with this amazing matte finish. I can tell you that normally you find these induction hobs with basically black glass, and it is beautiful to look at, but you can see dust, you can see fingerprints, while this matte slightly texturized effect is beautiful to look at, and I think also practical. I'd like to point out that a situation like this where you have the inner drawer, it is not possible right below the hob because you have the thickness of the hob which is hidden behind the grip here, and so you could not fit this sort of drawer. Okay. We move on to the dishwasher. The dishwasher is in any case 60 centimeters. This is an XXL model with increased capacity, but since we have the 60 centimeters washing machine and we have a 75 centimeters total of the door, here we have a 15 centimeters column, but this is very practical, for example, to place all the tablets and all the consumables that you use for the dishwasher itself. We move on to the sink base, okay, with this, of course, hollow drawer to welcome the sink itself, and down below we have all the accessories for the garbage, okay. And I'd like to point out how beautiful it is, this sink. With HPL you can have built-in sinks, a single piece, well, not actually a single piece, but they are joined together. You can have the same approach with ceramics, for example. In this case, we have this sink, this stainless steel sink. We have been having it in the showroom for a couple of weeks now, and every time I pass by, I stop and look at it, because, well, we are used to see stainless steel with the color of steel, and here it has this brandy color, which matches really well the speckles here, the lines of this Ambassador HPL. And this is an example of how you can use standard products and you can put them together in a creative way, because, you know, we haven't invented this Ambassador HPL and its golden colors. It's the value of our partner factory that manufactures this top. This is a standard sink, but a good interior designer will take the time to put together these sort of details. I'd like to point out this accessory. It's a spice holder. It's comprised of 3 elements which are attached together and are attached onto the top, so you cannot tilt them. And well, you see these bars on the outer side, and you can imagine how practical it is to be used. It's a way to move and kind of break this big surface, especially if you're not planning to use the outer side of the island to place stools, because here we have doors, so you cannot have stools, and you would have a very big top. It could be used as a working top, but as you see, I still, even with this accessory, I still have much space here to work, and well, so this is not only convenient in terms of use, but also nice to look at, and it kind of divides the working area from the dining and living area. I'd like to spend a couple of words on the hood. Well, when you have island kitchens with islands, normally you can have a hood attached onto the ceiling, a hood integrated into the ceiling, or a hood integrated into the hob itself. Here, well, this is one of the cleanest hoods that I've seen before. Now it is moving because we have turned it on right before shooting this section of the video, and well, you can see how it is attached, because it is not attached to a rigid structure. It is attached to these aluminum bars onto the ceiling, and then with these 4 very clean steel cables, then you have only electricity, so very basic. It does use filters, okay? Normally you don't get such a design item and then you connect it with the piping for extracting the fumes. And it is by Falmec, a beautiful black finish. It's, how wide is it? It's probably 160, 170. And here I turn on the lighting, beautiful lighting. It has, well, you know, normally on smaller hoods, the lighting, yes, it does light up the area of the hob. In this case, it does lighten up all the working area, and also the inner part, it's very clean in design. So I can say its design, I can say it's a work of art. Let's talk about the wall with columns. In this composition, we have a total of 367.5, because we have 3.5 on one side, 3.5 on the other side, and we have a total of 6 columns of 60 centimeters each. So we start with this glass column. I'd like to point out the beautiful grip, because the grip, it's not on the side, it's built in on the inner side of the door, and it works perfectly. You don't perceive it, and it's very convenient. I'd like to also point out that you don't perceive the hinges, because the hinges are of the most recent types. They are built in here and down there, and so not only when you open, but even when the door is closed, you don't really perceive the hinges. Totally absent. And the lighting, I like the way it is managed, because you have an LED strip on the back of the glass shelf, and these LED strips point upwards or downward, and well, on closets, on other kitchens, sometimes you have the LED strips vertical here. Sometimes they may be pointing towards the back, but in general they do give you a perception of flashing your eyes, while this setting is very nice and comfortable to look at. Okay, on top of the column we see this open compartment, which has the same depth of the column itself. Sometimes open compartments, when they are managed in the simplest way, they are on the back, and they are aligned with the structure of the side units. In this case, it is aligned with the front of the side elements. We move on. Well, here we can see this beautiful Cognac Oak, Cognac shade, Cognac color. So brandy stainless steel and Cognac, so we might get dizzy for too much alcohol for Cognac and brandy. Anyway, I very much like the color. Sometimes in other collections, like the Plan collection, it's similar to the biscuit color, okay, that we have on Plan and Alliant collections. Here we have a pantry, very, very basic. Okay, I do like also the inside finish because it's similar to the Lotto finish of our Pacific Closets collection. It's basically a concrete finish. These doors and the upper doors have a push-pull opening, okay? Because, well, we could have them with the 5 model grip, but we didn't want to kind of dirty a very clean design by adding additional grips. While here, this horizontal grip, there are 4 separate grips, but you perceive them as 240 linear grip. They're kind of a statement, this horizontal line, which can be customized in color. But while here, it would have been too much in our opinion, okay? Here we have, of course, the AEG Owen, made in Germany. Then we move on to a similar way of managing the doors, because you see these 2 doors open together and these 2 doors open together. The difference here is that this is the fridge, the refrigerator freezer, and the fridge itself, okay? These, you see this tiny space here, it's really of no use. You cannot really exploit it much, but it's quite normal, and it does depend on the exact height of the fridge that you get. So when either you take the appliances from us or you take them on your own, basically we tell to the factory what sort of appliance will go in the column, and this niche could be present or not, and its height will depend on the very specific model. Here in this column we have a combination of appliances, because we have the very useful accessory which is used to keep dishes warm. It's very useful when you come home late, or when I come home early, my wife comes home later, or the other way around, and we can keep, or when we have guests over, and we can keep dishes warm at the right temperature. And here we have a very nice canteen with its looks perfectly coordinated to the dishwarmer and to the oven, and in the same spot you could have, for example, a microwave with the same overall looks. This is not a big canteen, because a total capacity of 18 bottles. Well, but still 18 is better than nothing. And since you might have a very rich collection in your basements, but when you are in the kitchen and you want to have the right wine for the right recipes, you can have with such a compact canteen. Okay, I very much like the opening, and it's super clean design, because, well, you don't need controls, so its design is so clean. We have already described the fridge, and here we get to the same glass column that we have described before. So we've come to the end of today's product review about the 5601 kitchen composition. I'm really in love with this composition, with beautiful wooden columns and HPL island. I hope that you like it, and see you next time.